Yes, so yesterday we ended at creating this React app, and then the output we had was this. Okay, now when you go into the mobile view, let's go into the responsive view. This is the output we are getting here for the responsive view. The top summary would also have an image icon, so we'll add that image component. But you know, React is made up of reusable components. Like you can create reusable components in React. So the image we want to put at the top there, let me quickly run the other one. Okay, so you will see the image showing here, but now this image here is also a component, so it means that we can actually insert this component at any place, okay, without having to recreate the same image tag any longer. So that's what we want to look at, adding that up to this our summary contents page. So let us quickly go in. First of all, we need to add our image, and then from there we can add the component and then import the image in. So let's go into the assets folder and create a new folder there. You select the assets folder and then click on new folder and see images, right? So we'll use this folder to hold the images we are going to actually use in this particular app. So I can just simply come down here. I have some image on my desktop. Let me drag this image and then put that image on top of the images folder. So make sure you put it on top of the images folder, or you can just copy and then come there, right click on the images folder and paste. You can also right click on that images folder and say reveal in file explorer. Okay, reveal in file explorer here, this option. It will open up that section. Double click on the images folder and then you can paste your image inside it. As easy as that. Now once the image is placed in there, I named my image profile. Okay, so it's going to be, you don't have to bring the .js jpg there. You don't have to bring the .jpg. You just rename the file and automatically that extension will pop up. Good. So make sure you get the image in there. Then the next thing we want to do is to create the image component. So let's right click on the components folder, go to new file and then type in image.js. Okay, then we also create our functional statement here that we can use, that is RAFCE, which will generate this function, arrow function for us. We can also delete the React import at the top there, and this time we want to put our image tag inside this to replace this. So we have the image, and then the image will have a class name of image component. So we are just calling it image component. Now because we are creating a component and the images are not, we are not going to host the images directly in this component. Okay, we are not going to import these images directly. We would create something called props. But then, okay, let's reserve the props for now. Let's reserve the props for now, and then just import the image directly into this component and use it. Later, when we talk about props, then we'll create components that would actually be using props to receive references to that particular component. So let us just import, and we'll call it profile. So I will call it profile, and then it's going to come from then dots, so double dots, in order to step out, because the component is here, it's in the components folder, and the image is in another folder called assets. We need to come out of that components folder in order to go into the assets folder and then be able to access the images folder. So you can see when I do dot dots, it actually displays a list to show the current folder path I have. Okay, so all I'll do is to select the assets folder, do a /, select the images folder, do a /, then I can see the image profile image in there, and then it's .jpg, right? Good. So once I have this imported, once I have this image imported, so it means that we won't be passing the image link directly into the source here, but then we'll be picking it from this import. Then the next thing we'll do is that since we are importing like a JavaScript variable name, we need to use a curly brace to actually pass the name of that profile in there. And then in the alt section, we can just simply put in profile, that's all. Okay, so we want to just put profile in there. So we have created a component. This is not the best way though, because if we want to reuse this component, what we would do is that we'll rather pass this images to it by props. But since we have not yet talked about props, that's why we're passing it directly here. Later when we talk about props, we'll talk about how we can actually use that to pass this objects into the component in order for it to be rendered. Good. So we have finished with our image prop. Now we need to insert this image prop image components inside our side content. So at this place we have our side content. We have our side content here, and that side content is what we are displaying at this side here, this part. Okay, so we are going in here to insert that side image component at the side of this part. Now let me take off that React import and then import our image component. So we can simply use the image component and it will auto import it for us. That's what we can do. So first of all, let me insert that in the side content div. I will create another div with a class of side profile image. So we have one div here. That's where the text, that's where the informations are, the summary informations are. So we are creating another div to hold this image you are seeing here. So this is the design we are actually putting up. So in here I will put in my image component, and when I type that image, you can see image shows up here, but then we also have an image which is directly an export from the image component. You can see that here. So ./image. So when I click that, it will automatically import that into this very component, and then all I'll do is to close that up. So I now have my image component placed in here. When we go onto our page, we are not getting that well formed, so we would have to restyle or style that in order to actually get it this way, okay, in a circular form that way. So make sure that your image is displaying on the page at the left side, but then if you are in the mobile view, it would show at the top of the summary. Okay, so let me display this in a mobile view for you to see. So this is how it's going to be like. This at the top, then the summary at the bottom before this section. So again, we've just created an image component here, and this image component has an image element. Okay, this image element source is not directly mapped to the file itself, but then we are importing it into this profile object, and then we pass this object in here. So the image is going to map to that source and then pick that image and then process it there. So let us go into the style sheet and then style that particular section of the image. So at the bottom here you have your index.js file. You double click on it to open it up. When you double click, it would stay at its place, the tab will stay, and anytime you need it you can just go back and click on the tab at the top. So sorry, that's index.js. So index.css, please, we are using the index.css. Okay, so now let us go and then add this information to style the image. So under the sidebar, you see I have a sidebar section here. So under the sidebar, I want to create a comment. Let me just add a comment. You do Ctrl/ and say profile image, and then the profile image is inside a div with a class name of side dash profile dash image. Okay, that's a container in which it's placed. It's a div, so it's this div with this class. Now you can see the image, the image here is spanning more than the div itself. So let me arrange this here so we can see it as we style it. So we set an overflow of x and y. So if overflow of x and y, we just say overflow. We want it to be hidden so that anytime the image is wider than the container, it can just hide the rest that overflows. So we save that, and you can see, so the width and height of the image is what is determining how much image it can hold in there. So we would now set the height of the image to be 200px, and then the width also to 200px. Okay, and then let's ensure that it's having a mean width let's set a minimum width of that value, same value. Okay, so it would force it not to collapse more than its original value. And then the mean height should